Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel. So, fearfully dark lighting today. It is really, really dark, even though it's mid-afternoon, and it has been all day in stormy London, and it wasn't much better yesterday. So, I'm sorry about the lighting, but I think we're going to be able to see skin and swatches well enough in a minute when I show you the Tom Ford Waterproof Foundation Concealer that I've been trying out for the past few weeks, along with the Tom Ford Shimmer Shot. I had hoped to have a kind of bigger Tom Ford haul to show you, because I was looking forward to the Tom Ford Winter Soleil collection, which was due to come out a few weeks after the foundation, which launched in October here. But I haven't managed to get anything from the Soleil collection. The palettes, I didn't get a warning when they came in to Harrods and Selfridges, notwithstanding I'm kind of on the mailing list, and I was told inaccurately when they came in, and I gather they sold out in both venues literally in 24 hours. So I'm guessing they must have been really, really small stocks of the palette. I think they only ever got the warm over here in the UK. I haven't seen the cool or any mention that that was sold at all. And as I say, the warm ran out in a day. Harrods did have a couple of the lip foil lipsticks to purchase, but I may go back when they've got the fuller range. I wasn't as impressed as some people have been testing them, that they were actually that different from some of the textures that we've seen previously in the Lips and Boys series, which I do like very much. I wasn't able to test the one that I was really interested in, which I think is called Sea Dragon. But looking at the textures of the gold one that they did have and I was able to test, and looking online, I wonder if Sea Dragon is actually very similar to Drake, which is one of the Lips and Boys. Anyway, I digress. I didn't get anything from the Soleil collection. I will continue to hunt out the palette. I'd be surprised if they perhaps don't get some more stocks in at some stage, but who knows, at the moment I've missed out. So, the foundation. YouTubers and bloggers are very, very excited about this new waterproof foundation / concealer from Tom Ford. This, as you can see, is a tiny tube, 30ml, and it costs £62, which is the same price, I think, as their other kind of mainline foundations, the same amount. I did buy fairly recently a replacement, I haven't opened it yet, of the Traceless Perfection in my colour, which is also 30ml, although because it comes in a pump action bottle, you have the illusion of getting a bit more. So not a huge amount of product for £62, but the reviews I've read and heard absolutely raved, so I was very excited about it. What are my thoughts? Straight off, it is a good foundation. Is it worth £62? Or is it, would I repurchase it? Probably not. I don't think it's my favourite foundation, which once I'm paying 60 odd quid, I really want to say about a foundation. I'm nuts about foundations, as you know if you watch this channel. I think really good foundation is important for women of any age, but when you're older, it really makes all the difference. Get a good base and the other things take care of themselves. And I do think generally it is better to buy a decent quality foundation. There are some good drugstore products, but overall, particularly for pigment, you get what you pay for. But having said that, I think there comes a cut-off point. And there are foundations out there that are now over £100. I think the new Chanel one is that price. I was shown something at the By Terry counter last weekend, which looked gorgeous. It wasn't actually a foundation. It was a kind of a skin cream giving glow, but it was over £100, and I really think that's difficult to justify. So, what are my thoughts about this one? First of all, it's touted as a full heavy coverage foundation. They literally say it covers tattoos on the website, I think. And so I was very interested to try this. Now, I'm slightly bemused because I would not describe this as full coverage. I don't need, I haven't got huge problems to cover. I've got lots of age spots, like you can see on my hand here. They're not hugely obvious, but they're there, like freckles. And, I have redness round the nose and the chin that needs evening out. And my other main problem is enlarged pores. So in terms of covering, the redness and the age spot doesn't need something heavy. Now I'm going to show how this goes on the back of the hand. I mean, obviously it's not the same as on the face, but that's, a good sized spot. Probably more than you'd use for a small area. And it smooths in very nicely. This is a good colour match for me. But as you can see, you can definitely still see, although it's evened out, the spots. Now, I don't actually have any heavy coverage foundations. I would describe all of mine as medium coverage. And so I like this finish. I'm not saying that it's not good enough for me, but it certainly doesn't blot out everything in the way I was expecting from the descriptions of full coverage. And I really struggle to see how this would disguise tattoos. It just wouldn't. So I suppose what I would do here is just compare it with, actually my heaviest coverage, I think, is a BB cream from Lingerie de Pau Guerlain, which is also, although not waterproof. Now I'm showing it here on my other hand, which actually has worse age spots. It's a thicker cream than the Tom Ford. Now, I actually think that is heavier coverage and covers the age spots, and also is a slightly different texture, I'll come to that in a moment, than the Tom Ford. And that's just a BB cream. So I like the texture and the coverage. I will say that for a medium coverage, it feels very light on the skin. Once it's on and you touch the skin, it's got a slightly kind of powdery texture. It feels on the face as if you've got nothing there when you're wearing it. It's not itchy, it's not irritating, it's not mask-like. To touch, it's a powdery feel, whereas my actual favoured foundations, like this BB cream, have a slight moistness, not a stickiness, but definitely a moistness. So that's a personal thing that I prefer about other foundations. So it's very nice. It's very medium coverage. You can build it as a concealer. Again, I would say that if I'm really seriously concealing something, I still wouldn't use this. I would use the MAC Pro cream products, or even the Tom Ford stick foundation, which I can use as a concealer. And I find both of those products would be more effective than this. So what I'm saying to you is, if you are buying this is really going to cover scarring or tattoos or even more minor blemishes, I don't buy it. I would describe this as a medium coverage foundation. And I'm absolutely bemused that pretty much everyone on YouTube and bloggers say it's heavy coverage. Now, the other thing is, and bloggers have mentioned this, it does show up dry patches. It's not terribly moisturising. It's touted as waterproof. To be honest, I haven't got a need for a waterproof foundation. I wouldn't wear foundation at the gym or swimming or whatever. and our weather isn't sufficiently wet or humid to really need a waterproof foundation. But I've read, if you're in much more humid climates, it works well. Again, I would say, when I am in a very humid climate, such as, say, New York in the August, I have found this BB cream by Guerlain Lingerie de Peau works very well. It's not touted as a waterproof, but it stands up to humidity. But I'm told this one does. It lasts reasonably well. Again, I would say it does break down for me around the nose and the forehead and the chin after about 6 hours. So it's not my best lasting foundation, but it's good. And definitely if you powdered, it probably would last better. It's not matte in appearance, but it's almost matte. So I guess a velvet appearance. What I would say about that is, on an older face like mine, it looks a bit flat and you definitely need to contour. So again, I would prefer a more luminous, satiny, gleaming finish than this gives, but it doesn't say that it's going to do that. But you might want to think about that, either if you have very dry skin or older skin. I don't think this is necessarily the best product, although you can add the gleam, for example, with the Shimmer Shot mixed in, or around the face, and you can definitely contour. So overall, it's not going to take over from my all-time favourite foundation, which is by Terry Cover Expert. By Terry Cover Expert gives equal coverage. For me, it lasts a bit longer. It has a much more dewy finish, which I find more flattering, and the actual feel is a bit more kind of damp, moist on the skin, which I prefer. This is a good foundation, other than the fact that I don't think it's full coverage. It does everything it says on the tin. There's a nice range of colours. Slightly annoyingly, they've renamed some of them, so you are going to have to go and get matched if you've had other Tom Ford foundations that have the same names, because the colours don't necessarily marry up. But for myself, I would still prefer actually the Perfecting Traceless foundation to this, because the finish is nicer for me. It's more luminous. And I also actually would prefer the stick foundation, which I think is more flattering on older skin. So those are my thoughts. The Shimmer Shot, it's, a nice, adds luminosity skin product, goes on, feels nice, but it's nothing spectacular. There are cheaper products out there, Becca in particular, I rate, that do the job just as well. So, this was, I think, a seasonal product. It's nice to go with this foundation if you like a more luminous look. But to be honest, you'd just be better off buying a different finish foundation. So the answer is, of its type, very acceptable, but not my favourite. And think carefully about what you want from a foundation before you buy this one. I think